Welcome to the ESILaw 360 webinar for all those that are attending today. Today we're going to cover a variety of things about ESILaw 360. Myself, my name is Michael Seville. I'm a senior manager at ESILaw. I've been here for 18 years. Dye Durham recently purchased our company, so we've got pretty extensive experience in the legal market. And a lot of clients across Western Canada and Eastern. So we'll be moving obviously into the Ontario market aggressively in the next few years. So what we're going to cover in this webinar is basically a general overview of ESILaw 360, as well as a number of other things about the product. If you're having any problems with Zoom, definitely let us know. You can put notes in the chat, and then everybody will be able to see that, and then we can address those accordingly. So what we'll be covering in this meeting will be not just an introduction to ESILaw, but a quick tour, as well as some of the benefits. So we'll cover things like working with clients, conflict searches, looking up information on a client, closing clients, time and fee entry, disbursements, handling trust, reporting, and so forth. And first off, we'll cover some of the benefits of ESILaw 360. So we provide the most common accounting and practice management functionality that law firms need. It's available in a desktop or a cloud solution. If you are on the desktop solution, you can easily transition to cloud at any point in time. We have a very easy to use interface. You can download a trial from our website and have a look at it. And of course, you'll see that in the webinar today. It's a very scalable product as well. It can handle up to easily 200 users, which is our largest firm, and above and beyond that if your firm is larger. We also use Microsoft SQL database technology. So this product is very reliable. If you're familiar with Microsoft SQL, reliability is an important part of, and integrity, of course, important part of any application. We've got very fast reporting, which is often an issue with some other products. That has to do with our report design. So if you're experiencing issues with reporting performance, you won't run into that with ESILaw. We also have an extensive audit trail. So every transaction that's entered in ESILaw is easily traceable. And of course, the Law Society does want to see that. So you can see who's entering what and have a very extensive audit trail to back that up. The software also has automatic software updates. We release improvements monthly, and those are delivered directly to your desktop. So essentially, there's no maintenance required. We are also one solution to manage your firm. And what I mean by that is there are products that have, or that require a third-party accounting integration. And ESILaw 360 will help you reduce your reliance on multiple products because we're an all-encompassing solution. We do have some third-party integrations. We're currently, we do have the facility to import disbursements from other products, and we are currently working on an OnCorp disbursement import integration, which is right around the corner to be released in October. What that does is it allows you to import disbursements from OnCorp and essentially reduces the time and effort to get those disbursements into your accounting application and reduces errors. We do have data import from other applications as well. So if you're importing clients and contacts, time and fees, cost recovery, we can handle all that as well. And most importantly, we listen to our customers. From a customer service standpoint, we strive to deliver functionality that benefits firms in terms of making them more efficient. If you send us feedback, it won't disappear into a black hole. We do read all of the feature requests we get from our customers. And if you request something that's beneficial to the majority of firms in terms of helping solve a problem or increasing overall efficiency, then we definitely will look at implementing that into ESILaw 360. So what we'll do right away is we'll jump into the demo of 360 so you can have a look at it and take a quick tour, and we'll look at some of the features and functionality that you'll use on a daily basis. So we'll start with the Clients and Matters feature. This is generally where you spend most of your time managing clients and matters. We do offer both a matter-driven approach and a client-driven approach with regards to dealing with clients. What that means is if you open up a client in ESILaw 360 and you're using a matter-driven approach, you're going to see a matter number. And what it'll do is it'll group multiple matters on the same report. Or for example, if you're making an address change to a particular matter that's belongs to a client and you've got multiple matters, it'll prompt you to update those addresses for all clients and things like that. Not every firm uses the matter-driven approach, but it is available in ESILaw. And when you initially set up ESILaw, you can turn that on or off. Also, once you've added clients in ESILaw, you can easily change your client numbers or matter numbers. So if you do need to make changes to that, you don't have to worry about that. It's very easy to do. The search in ESILaw 360, when you're in this Client and Matter Center, very straightforward. You simply type in what you're looking for. So if you're looking for part of the matter description, you can type it in. Or if you're looking for the phone number, you can type it in. So again, very easy to find things in ESILaw 360. This search is found throughout ESILaw. So it does make it very easy, whether you're looking for a client, a contact, a vendor, if you're searching for a transaction, or anything along those lines, you'll be able to find it quickly. Now, of course, before you take on a new client, you're going to want to look at doing a conflict search. And we have a very easy to use conflict search feature where you can just type in keywords or phrases. And there are some conflict options to allow you to specify further, narrowing down the results of the conflict and so forth. Once you enter your search criteria, you click search. You're going to see the conflict search report at the bottom of the screen. And then, of course, if you don't find what you're looking for, you can return back to the top and continue to perform a search. Now, opening a client or matter in 360 is very straightforward, or editing an existing client or matter. You simply click New Client Matter at the top of the screen, and then you've got a couple of options available here. So you've got a New Client option, and you also have a New Matter for Selected Client. So again, if you have that matter-driven option turned on, you can select New Matter for Selected Client and have it automatically fill in a lot of the standard information such as address and phone number and so forth. So I'll go ahead and just click the New Client form. It's pretty straightforward. That's where you're going to see the client number. And again, these are customizable. You can use alphanumeric and so forth. You'll put in things like the client matter name, the contact, the matter description, the address. You'll select the type of law, the responsible lawyer, some contact details. There are quite a few other tabs in Clients and Matters, such as additional information, where you can record things such as opposing lawyer, tax settings. You can see the closed file details. There's billing and statement settings. So if you want to deal with custom rates at the client level or at the lawyer level, there's a lot of different rate options that you can set. Optional billing addresses, recording additional conflict information, custom fields. We do allow you to create your own set of custom fields so that you can record information that we don't normally have or record in ESILaw, and that information can be exported to Excel as well. So again, adding a client, pretty straightforward. All of the required fields are on the front of the screen. And if you're editing an existing client, it's just a matter of double-clicking the client and the form will load. Or we do have right-click options available as well, so you can see here you can edit, delete, close. And of course, we have a lot of business rules within the application that prevent you from doing things you shouldn't be doing. Of course, you shouldn't be deleting a client when there's transactions on it and balances and so forth. So those types of preventative measures will essentially prevent you from doing those things. The next thing you're going to want to look at with regards to Clients and Matters is looking up information. So all of these tabs across the bottom of the screen here, The General tab shows you general information. Balances tab shows you balances such as year to date and life to date. We have an Events and Tasks tab. So events and tasks can be used to record meetings and tasks related to a matter, or limitation dates. We do have a limitation diary system that will also auto print limitation reminders. And again, everything here is very easy to edit. It's just a matter of right-clicking it or double-clicking it. And you're going to be familiar with a lot of the fields as it pertains to events and tasks, because they're very similar to Outlook anyway. There are some basic reports when you're viewing clients and matters. So you see things like the information sheet. That's going to show you, I'll just bring that up. It's going to show you things like the client matter number, the name, the matter description, and all the pertinent contact details, as well as pretty much all the other information that pertains to that client or matter. And then, of course, we have a lot of other standard reports in clients and matters, such as a pre-bill summary report, which allows you to print out all the transaction history or selected items, such, for example, let's say you wanted unbilled time and fees and disbursements. You could print that out very easily, and as well as billing instructions. So that pre-bill summary report is often used prior to billing the client. And then finally, we have things like transaction listing, where you can print out the transaction history. There's events, tasks, and limitation reports, as well as some other commonly used reports as well. Okay, so now that we've kind of taken a close look at managing clients and matters in ESILaw, we'll look at some of the accounting tabs here, because these are some of the more pertinent details as it pertains to clients and matters. So the next four tabs, the time and fees, disbursements, trust, bills, and payments, those are going to show you transactions on a client. So you can see, for example, on the time and fees tab, you're going to see your time entries. You're going to see the status of those entries. Are they billed? Are they unbilled? What bill are they on? You're also going to see a status filter here. So you can easily filter things in ESILaw and say, okay, I just want to see the unbilled entries, or I want to see what's written off or what's reversed. Very straightforward in terms of finding information. For example, on this client, you can see that these entries are billed and they're on bill number 5. On the disbursements ledger, again, very similar to time, you'll see the different disbursement transactions such as telephone, fax, courier. You'll see if it's billed, what bill number it's on, the amounts, the taxes, and so forth. And then, of course, on our trust tab, this is where you'll see trust history. So here you're going to see things like trust receipts, trust checks, trust transfers, all the money essentially that's going in and out of the account as it pertains to trust. Finally, the bills and payments ledger. That's where you're going to see any bills that have been created for the client. You're going to see the status of those bills. Are they paid? Are they unpaid? You can right-click on bills and do things like edit, reverse, write off, write down, view bill. So again, very easy to work with transactions that you've already entered into the software. But again, we do have a fairly extensive audit trail and quite a few business rules as it pertains to transaction entry, because of course, there are things you shouldn't be freely editing. For example, if you've written a check and it's cleared the bank, then obviously you don't want to be changing amounts and things of that nature. Again, there are a few other fields at the bottom here in the client matter feature, which we kind of looked at already, the conflict information, so you can record additional conflict information against a matter. These are optional things that you don't have to use. They're there if you do need them. Custom fields, you can see any custom fields against the client. Any client notes, so you can put notes on a client and you can date timestamp it very easily. And edit and view those notes or print them out on the information sheet. We do have an identify verify feature, so that allows you to easily identify and verify clients and keep track of who's identifying, verifying it. A lot of firms tend to handle this process manually, but we do have the functionality in the software to record this. Okay, so next we'll take a look at closed clients. We do have the option for open and closed clients. So if you've got, if you are viewing your open clients, you're going to see here, view open clients matters. And then if you toggle over here to view closed clients and matters, this is where you would see a list of clients that you've closed. And again, this open close functionality is intended to allow you to keep your database nice and clean. so that or your company file, so that if you have clients that you're no longer working with, you're not going to see these extensive lists of clients that, from 10 or 15 years ago. From here, you can right click on a client and choose close. And then of course we do have, like I mentioned, business rules. So you can't close a client if the balances are not equal to 0. But once the client is closed, you'll see them move over to this close window, which looks exactly like the open window. Again, you can still see all the history at the bottom with all these various tabs, and then you'll be able to essentially right click and reopen that client if you ever need to do business with them again. So I'm going to close the Client Matter Center and now take a look at the Contacts feature. ESILaw also has the ability to manage contacts for you. So with contact management, you can record contacts and companies. And essentially, it's just a contact management database. It helps you establish relationships between your contacts and your clients. So essentially, you can add in a contact like a witness or an opposing lawyer, and you can choose this linked people option, and you can link these contacts to various matters. So I could say that this individual is linked to Robert Jones, click link, and then when I'm over in the Client and Matter Center, and I pull up Robert Jones, and I look at linked people, I can see which companies or which individuals are related to this client or matter. So again, that just helps me establish relationships with different parties on matters in the firm. And again, contacts can be companies, or they can be people or individuals. Okay, so now we've kind of had a general overview of clients and matters. So the next thing we'll take a look at is time and fee entry. So if you're entering time and fees for clients, it's an integral part of any law firm software. So we've got time entry features in here that allow rapid data entry with just the keyboard. So if you're entering time on behalf of the lawyer as an admin staff member, or if you are entering time as a lawyer, you get the best of both worlds, because we've given you functionality where you can either use the keyboard or a combination of the keyboard and mouse. And if you are entering time as a lawyer, you can freely click around in the screen using your mouse and make changes as you need to. We do have some functionality built into this specifically for lawyers. That would be things like a start and stop timer. So you can start a timer, pause it, stop it, and have it increment the hours. There's a spell checker at the bottom of the screen. Under the settings, there's also the ability to open and maximize this window on startup. So that way, if you're predominantly recording time in ESILaw, as soon as you log in, you're going to see this window load right away. And there's a few other features in here, like enable automatic timer, which will start the timer as soon as you select another time entry, helping you capture the most or maximize the billable time you're capturing and so forth. You can view and print your time entries when you post them. So essentially, time entry pretty straightforward, easy to enter time. You can save these entries, go for lunch, come back later. They're all still going to be there. Any transaction that you enter in ESILaw, until such time that you click post, it's not committed to the client. But once I click that, then I'll see that those time entries disappear from the window. And now, of course, they'll be on the client ledger. So that pretty much is the time entry feature. Another important part of transaction entry in a law firm is disbursements. So we have a variety of ways of recording disbursements against a client. You can enter a disbursement transaction for a client, for example, like a courier charge. We do have a hotkey in ESILaw 360, which is F5. It allows you to bring up all these search lists. It makes it really easy to find things. Of course, if you do know what you're entering, you can freely type this information in without having to look it up. So in this case, I'm just doing like a $25 courier entry. I enter that in, I can post it to the client. That's a quick and easy way to get a disbursement on a client. There are alternative methods, for example, and some of these you probably are already familiar with. For example, like writing general checks. You could write a general check, for example, to FedEx for a certain amount on behalf of a client. So this essentially is going to combine two steps into one, where you're writing a check to pay a bill. It's going to handle all the taxes and so forth for you according to the disbursement codes you select. All of the disbursement codes, tax settings and such are handled at the global level or at the disbursement level, and those are all fully customizable, so you don't have to deal with trying to figure out what the taxes are and so forth on disbursements. So this as an alternative method to enter a disbursement would allow me to write the check and post the disbursement to the client. So it's kind of two steps combined into one. And of course, we do have some extensive import-export functionality. So that, again, is another way to get disbursements into ESILaw. So if you're dealing with a third-party cost recovery system, such as CopyTrack or Equitrack or something like that, you can select the disbursement cost recovery option, and you can set up a template that can run on scheduler. Very easy to do, takes 5 or 10 minutes at the most. And you'll be able to import disbursements from a variety of sources because, again, these are very customizable templates and can deal with pretty much any format that you need to bring in. And then finally, we do have an accounts payable feature in ESILaw as well. It's not extensively used by the smaller firms, more by the mid to large size firms. And this feature here will allow you to enter invoices and payments for the firm. So those would be bills coming in on behalf of clients of the firm. And it's going to allow you to enter an invoice very similar to a check and assign it to either a client or a general ledger account. So for example, I could have a FedEx charge, assign it to a particular client, post the invoice, have the disbursement show up on the client ledger. And do keep in mind, when you are entering transactions like this, you don't have to enter a single line item for one client. If you've got a FedEx bill and the bill is for multiple clients, you can enter them all in the distribution here and be able to post disbursements to all of those various clients in one shot instead of doing one at a time. So those are basically the ways to track disbursements. There are other methods in ESILaw. Do keep in mind in this webinar that we're not going to be able to cover everything, and there are alternative ways to do things in terms of dealing with transactions and disbursements and things and billing and so forth. So we'll cover as much of that as we can. And if you do have questions or you're using a different approach, you can always get in touch with us and we can answer those for you. So next we'll look at just a general overview of entering, viewing, and modifying transactions in ESILaw. When you select the transactions menu at the top, you're going to get a lot of various transaction options in here, such as entering time and fees, disbursements, doing things like batch write-offs and transfers. Of course, we have all the trust functionality, such as trust receipts and checks and requisitions, the ability to transfer trust to pay bills or write trust transfer checks to get the money to the firm. We have all the various general transactions, such as general receipts, checks and requisitions. And again, requisitions will be used by larger firms versus smaller. There's a billing functionality here, which we'll get into shortly. Payments, if you're dealing with receiving client payments or even payments that are where a third party is paying a bill on behalf of a client. We've got the accounts payable functionality for invoices, entering invoices and paying them and entering vendor credits. And then just kind of day-to-day functionality that you deal with, such as refunds and NSFs and journal entries and things like that. Entering transactions is pretty straightforward in ESILaw. I'll just give you an example. We'll do a trust receipt. You select the bank, the date, the payment type, the receipt number, and so forth will populate automatically. You can put in the name of the client you're receiving the funds from, the amount, look up the client as well here, and the reference number, description, whatever you want to put in there. And then, of course, you just save the transaction. It shows up at the bottom of the window here. We have options, of course, to print things like receipts. And you can add as many transactions as you want. Doesn't matter if you're entering a trust receipt, trust check, general receipt, general check. All of the transactions will show up at the bottom of the screen. These are editable, so if you make a mistake, you can delete these, edit these, enter as many transactions as you need to. And then once you're finished entering them, you just simply select post and close, and then that'll post the transactions to the client ledger. So as you can see, there's a lot of different types of transactions, but those are all the transactions that law firms deal with on a daily or weekly, monthly basis. Now that transactions are entered, there's quite a few ways to view them. So if you're looking at the Client Matter Center, we go back to those ledgers, which would be like the time and fees ledger, the disbursements. These are the transactions you're going to see that you've entered through enter disbursements or enter time, or maybe creating a bill. You would see a bill here as well, or maybe entering a payment. You can also look at transactions using this find feature we have. The find feature is designed to let you search for any type of transaction. Doesn't matter if it's time and fees or a trust check or whatever the case may be. You simply type in the criteria you're searching for and then click find. There's a lot of filters you can use. You can even search by date ranges, amounts, greater than, less than, which client it's for, which lawyer, even which user entered it. And then when you find the transactions, you'll see things like status. So you can easily, for example, if you're looking at time and fees, you can easily identify what's going on with those transactions. And notice right from the find feature, there's a lot of things I can do to help modify the state of a transaction, such as editing the time from here, reversing it, transferring it off, printing out audits and so forth. So you're not restricted to doing these types of things in one place. But ideally, the find feature is the best tool to use for this because it allows you to easily find what you're looking for and then, of course, make changes to those transactions. So that's pretty standard as it pertains to transaction entry and the find. So the next thing we'll do is we'll take a look at the billing functionality in ESILaw, because obviously that's an important aspect of software for any law firm. We've built a very open-ended billing functionality in 360 that basically allows you to bill using the method or the workflow that fits your firm. So if you're billing a single client at a time, for example, you can go into the client matter feature and you can select the client, do a quick search here, find the client you're looking for, and choose quick bill. What that does is it adds the client to the list of bills you're working on. So essentially these are pre-bills, draft, we call them, just not final bills. If you're a firm that does a lot of batch billing, you can set the dates up here for your bills. For example, like the end of the month, August 31st, for the bill transactions up to and date to appear on bill. And then what that'll do is it'll allow you to add multiple clients and it'll inherit those dates, or you can use this click here to add multiple bills, and you can add bills by lawyer, by type of law, major client, or even bills that are over where the balances are over a certain amount. So again, very flexible in terms of how you bill. We also give you a lot of control over who can do what in billing, depending on how your firm is set up. Some firms have, for example, maybe the assistants creating the bills, the lawyers review them, then the bills are handed into accounting or emailed to accounting, and then it's accounting who reviews those and posts them and then sends them out the door. So again, we give you the ability to specify who can do what, who can post those bills, who can edit those bills, and that way you can kind of customize the billing workflow to meet the needs of your firm. So with regards to billing, what you do see when you've added these clients to billing is just a bill line item for each client, and then you'll see the client number, the template you're using. ESILaw has very customizable templates. You can customize those with logos, fonts, layout, pretty much all that kind of stuff. Here you can view the bill, change the bill dates if you need to. You've got these buttons for like time and fees, flat fee, disbursements, discount. If you click on those, you've got a lot of functionality to deal with the content of the bill, allowing you to do things like enter time and fees, additional time and fees for the bill, edit them, maybe display a narrative in place of the time entries you have, mark up the time and fees. There's a spell checker here. You can enter a flat fee bill if you don't have any time. For example, on this client, you could click flat fee and put in a flat fee description here. We have a nifty little auto text feature. What that does is it lets you set up abbreviations. So you can essentially create, like copy paste in a narrative. That way you're not having to type it every time. And then you just type in the abbreviation and it'll fill in the entire narrative. So very straightforward in terms of getting the bill in with the flat fee. The disbursements will automatically show up. Most firms I find tend to enter their disbursements in advance. They don't usually leave them to the assistants. You can do that. Do keep in mind, ESILaw 360 does have security for user accounts and groups. So you can grant or restrict that access to features and functionality based on the group that the users are in. So that'll allow you to control who can do what as well. So again, here I'll see all the disbursements related to client or matter. And if you deal with anticipated disbursements, we do have that functionality as well. All that is kind of a reminder system that you have an invoice coming in and you want to post it against the client before you receive the invoice. And it essentially allows you to keep track of it as opposed to just entering a standard disbursement and then having to manually keep track of it. So lots of different billing functionality in here. As you work on the bill and edit it, you can save it, preview it, etc. You can enter discounts against the bill, change the taxes if you need to. The scenario that would apply to is if you're entering a bill from a third-party application, like a conveyancing application, where you're not interested in entering all the details for time. You're just going to put in a flat fee, a flat disbursement amount, which we can do. Sometimes the taxes are off by a penny, so you can round them up or down accordingly. Do keep in mind, ESILaw does have built-in allocations for fees and payments. So if you are receiving, if you're billing and you're receiving payments, you can allocate the fees to responsible lawyer. You can prorate it. You can manually do it by amount and percentage. You can have it automatically inherit it based on the global settings, or even based on the options on the client. So you've got a lot of different options as it pertains to entering bills. We also can put payments on bills at the time of billing. And again, here you'll see the amount of funds available in trust. You can easily pay the bill. It'll show up when you preview the bill, which I'll do here, just using our generic template, which is not too fancy. And then as you scroll down through the bill, you'll see all the details, such as the description of the service, the time entries, time summary, disbursements. Again, keep in mind, this is all customizable. You can make it look however you want. At the bottom of the bill on page 2, we put that payment on, so you'd see amount transferred from trust. You'd see the statement of account and the trust ledger. And again, you can customize whether you want these sections on the bill or not. So very straightforward. The advantage of putting the payment on the bill is it does the trust transfer to pay bill transaction for you. And then it's just a single step process to use the right trust transfer feature to produce the check and automatically deposit it for the firm. We have a built-in deposit feature as well, which I'll get into in just a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and post that bill against the client. Okay, so the next thing is some firms will deal with UTBMS billing. If you have a client that is a UTBMS client in terms of bill format, like leads, legal guard, etc., you can simply turn on the format, select the appropriate format from the list, and then whenever you create a bill, it's automatically going to queue it up in the UTBMS Bill Center. So we've got that functionality, allowing you then to remit those bills to your third-party bill processors as well. So that functionality is all built into ESILaw 360. So now that we've kind of taken a look at billing, a couple other things I'll mention. You can email bills to clients directly from ESILaw. And you can, of course, once you've created a bill, easily go to the client in matter, look at the ledger, select the bill, and you can reprint it from here or edit it. And again, you can restrict access to all of this functionality. And again, from the find feature, you'd be able to do that as well. Okay, so next we'll look at receiving money and deposits. We've got all the various functionality you need for that. You can receive payments from clients if they're paying their bills, or deal with general receipts such as tax refund or something like that. Receiving money is pretty straightforward, be it a trust receipt, general receipt, etc. As you enter the transaction, you'll see the bill in the window below, or multiple bills depending on how many you have. And then you simply enter the amounts. You can print a receipt. It'll add it to the deposit feature. And then when you post that, the receipt is done. You'll see it on the client ledger. You'll see it in the find feature. Next, thing we should look at is the deposits. Any receipt that you enter in ESILaw, depending on whether or not you want it to group on your bank statement or on your bank reconciliation, will show up in this deposit feature. The sole purpose of this feature is just to group receipts so that when you're looking at your bank reconciliation and you're comparing it to your bank statement, you'll see that if I receive 10 trust receipts on one day for $1,000 each, and I deposited those, and I go into the bank rec, I'm going to see a deposit of $10,000, and that's going to match my bank statement. But bear in mind that that's completely customizable. So if you do deal with transactions and they're individual transactions, and that's how you want them to show in bank reconciliation, you can essentially deal with it that way as well by just customizing some of the options. But what the deposit feature does allows you to view a list of all of the receipts for the specific bank that you've selected, and then you can finalize the deposit. It lets you print a deposit listing, firm and bank copy, as well as a deposit deposit slip. And then once you deposit that, it disappears from the list, and now it's into the bank rec. And of course, you can reprint, undo deposits, change deposit dates, and all that sort of stuff. So very easy to do. The next thing we'll look at is dealing with clients that have overdue accounts. So if you need to send statements and reminders, we've got that functionality. You can easily produce statements in a variety of formats, and then you can select these various filters to determine who you want to send statements to. For example, only clients with unpaid bills where an amount is greater than X. And we do have an interest function, interest posting, or I guess interest charging or posting functionality, where you can display interest on an invoice or bill, and you have the option to post it. And there's a lot of extensive functionality here where you can control how much you're posting to which client based on what date range. So you've got all kinds of interest posting options. Most firms we find tend not to use interest posting. They like to display it on the bill, but they don't necessarily post the interest against the account. If you do, it would show up in the client matter ledger on the bill and payments tab as an interest transaction. So you can, again, easily identify it, reverse it, and make adjustments to it if necessary. With regards to handling trust, which of course is very important in any law firm, the trust ledger we already looked at, and some basic reports you can run on the client that'll show you, for example, the trust transaction listing if you wanted to see a list of all the trust history printed out. We do also have a variety of trust transactions, as I mentioned, receipts, check writing, EFTs, if you're dealing with electronic funds transfers, requesting, releasing checks, transferring trust to pay bills, or even writing trust transfer checks. Writing trust transfer checks is after you've put a payment on a bill, or you've, after you've created a bill after the fact, you've paid the bill using the trust transfer to pay bill functionality in ESILaw. What this does is it allows you to see all of the payments that you've applied and then select them in the window and then essentially group them on a single check if that's easier. Automatically post the general receipt and add the item to the deposit. So it essentially will accomplish multiple things in a single step and let you deal with payments on bills much more easily in terms of not only applying those payments, getting the money to the firm, but also depositing the funds as well. Finally, we'll take a quick look at check writing and printing, because that's also very important in a law firm. So if we open up the general check feature, when you enter a check in ESILaw, you're going to see, as I showed you before, the details of the check will be in the distribution area here. So if we're entering a check for a courier, and we save that, notice I have the check printing and posting on. If I post that quickly, it's going to open up this check printing window, which is also accessible from here. You can print checks in ESILaw as well as audits and labels. The check printing feature will let you select the checks you want to print, specify your check style. So again, if you've got laser checks, you don't have to get rid of those. You can easily select different styles like check at the top for full page laser checks, and you can adjust the height as well, so it's easy to customize this check to use whatever checks you have in your office already. If for some reason the printer jams, we do have a reprint functionality. So again, you can reprint checks very easily if that's necessary. Vendors and AP, we took a quick look at that. All it really is an alternative method to writing checks, general checks to pay bills. It just allows you to keep track of your vendors. It has an invoice and payments ledger. So if you're entering, for example, an invoice, I'll just quickly do on here so you guys can have a look. If you're entering an invoice against a client for a specific item, such as courier, it will post the disbursement for the client, and then you'll see it show up on the AP ledger. And then, of course, you can, as you accumulate these, you can pay your invoices at the end of the month. You can deal with things like entering vendor credits. You can edit invoices, reverse them, view the audits, post notes on vendors. And then, of course, you've got some basic AP reports as well, such as accounts payable aging. The next thing we'll take a quick look at is reporting in ESILaw. There's a lot of different reports available, from client to matters to closed clients, unbilled work in progress, everything from aging to like unbilled, a listing of unbilled transactions. A lot of lawyer and timekeeper reports such as billing and variance, receipts, accounts receivable, write-offs, you name it. We pretty much have every type of report you may be looking for, including things like billing realization and collection realization. Those are used more often to monitor the firm performance. There are financial reports also available. So if you go under the reports menu, you'll see under here, there's financial reports such as trial balance, balance sheet, bank rec reports such as deposit receipt detail, bank journal, receipt journal. So lots and lots and lots of various reports to address the needs of the firm in terms of the information you're looking for. I'll just quickly run one. We'll select the client listing, which is top left here. Reports can all be run using a variety of criteria. And then when you view them, you'll see the report on screen. And then you, of course, can maximize these, makes it very easy to read. You'll see all the details based on the report options you selected. And then you can click on these highlighted blue links to be able to drill down to see the details of the transactions. So if there's like a summary balance and you want to see, well, what makes up that 1250, then you just click that option and you'll be able to see the details. All the reports are exportable, lots of different formats, PDF, Excel, RTF, you pretty much name it. You can do it with regards to export. The next thing we'll just quickly touch on would be banking. We've got that make deposit feature, which we quickly looked at, that allows you to deal with depositing money and grouping or not grouping transactions to make it easier to reconcile your banks at the end of the month. We have a built-in bank reconciliation feature where you can essentially go into bank rec and see a list of all your checks and deposits and other credits and deal with things like posting adjustments, printing out worksheets and all that sort of stuff. And again, that deposit feature is designed to make it easy for you to match ESILaw to your bank statement so you can get those bank reconciliations done quickly. As it pertains to security, under the maintenance menu user accounts, we do have options for you guys to deal with multiple users. Again, you can set up users with logins and passwords and emails and all that sort of stuff. You've got groups. Groups allow you to grant or restrict access to certain functionality. So you can set up as many of those as you want. The setup process with regards to ESILaw is quite simple. Once you download a trial and you visit our website, you download a trial here, free trial. You're going to get an email that gives you an activation key and an installation link. And that will lead you to our install page, which is just a nice big blue button, very easy to do. Click the link, follow the instructions, and put in your activation key. Then essentially you go through a quick setup process of specifying some options like your company name, whether or not you want to use matters for numbering, and things like that. Takes no more than 5 minutes. ESILaw does come with like a preset chart of accounts. It comes with preset lists for things like time codes, disbursement codes, so you can easily modify these, make changes to them according to the needs of your firm. So the setup process itself is pretty straightforward, especially if you're a small firm. If you're a larger firm, you might want to have your accountant involved in dealing with things like customizing accounts and so forth. We've got a little poll that popped up, so you can essentially tell us what type of application you're using, and there's a couple other basic questions in there as well if you want to participate in the webinar a little bit further. That'd be great if you can give us your feedback. Always very useful to have that. As it pertains to licensing, we are licensed on a per user basis, where a license allows you to create a user login and a timekeeper. So again, really depending how your firm is set up, you can have a variety of different licensing scenarios. Just to give you a quick example, you might have 5 lawyers in the firm and 10 administrative staff. You might have 8 admin staff that need their own login, 2 that can share, and of the lawyers, maybe only 2 of them use the software. So again, you can really kind of design the licensing model to suit the needs of your firm, so that you're not buying additional licenses that you don't need and so forth. As it pertains to data migrations, we can import data from other applications as long as it's in a CSV or Excel format. So you can bring in your clients, your contacts, accounts payable vendors, unbilled time and disbursement transactions, trust receipts, you can import your bills and so forth. So there's a lot of data that you can bring into ESILaw 360. And of course, we would help you with that, explain it in a little bit more detail. We have a extensive migration package that shows you, how you get from A to B in terms of what needs to be done if I'm leaving one application and going to another. So the next question you might have is how to get started. Just simply visit our website and download a free trial. But of course, you'll probably have questions, so don't hesitate to contact us. You can easily reach us on our website by selecting, first by visiting ESILaw.com, and then by selecting Contact Us. And then, of course, the phone numbers and email addresses are all there. We're certainly here to help you get any questions answered. Just a reminder, there's a lot more functionality in ESILaw 360 that we just don't have time to cover, that will help you deal with other kind of day-to-day issues in the firm or things you need to get accomplished. So if you do have questions about something you didn't see here, there's a chance we already have it. So just give us a call and we can certainly help you out with that. So I think now it's probably time to answer a few questions with regards to any questions you may have posed during the demo. So if anybody's got any written questions, we can have a look at those as well. And if Yash, you can bring those up. Oh, here we go, Q&A. I've got some of those in front of me. So that's already available. Okay, so we'll just go through some of these real quick. This presentation you will find is going to be recorded, and we'll have some video. So I saw one here that if you've missed the presentation, don't worry about it. We'll definitely make a copy of it available for you so you can see what we're talking about here. Amicus Attorney and PC Law, can those be imported? You can import the Amicus Attorney data like clients and contacts and the PC Law. Biggest issue you're going to have with regards to transition of data is how well have those databases been kept up in terms of, are they in sync with each other? So that'll be the #1 issue, but both of those databases can be imported. We typically, with regards to migration, do what's called an opening balance migration, where you can import your clients, your contacts, your vendors, all of your unbilled transactions, and with regards to trust and accounts receivable and your chart of accounts, your general ledger, we enter those as opening balances. And so again, I won't go into too much detail about that, but we do have a nice migration package that will teach you a little bit more about that. We don't have Outlook integration right now with 360, but we're releasing an application shortly that's web-based that works with 360 that has some additional practice management functionality like calendaring and so forth. That particular application has Outlook functionality built in. How does ESILaw compare to the combination of Amicus Attorney and PC Law? Well, essentially, we're building a simplified practice management solution, again, available in a couple of months. So once that's done, really the biggest difference is going to be probably that we're a little bit easier to use than those applications. And now you're going to be dealing with one product instead of multiple, so you don't have to deal with exchanging data between the products. When we do release our browser application, it talks directly to your ESILaw 360 desktop application, and you can kind of configure that in any sort of scenario you want. For example, if you have administrative users in the office, they can use our 360 desktop product, and if you have lawyers outside of the office, they can use our 360 browser product, but any data that's entered in either product will show up in both. Pricing, again, probably best to contact sales. One key point I should mention is we do have competitive trade-in pricing from other applications that you'll find a lot more attractive. So if you're looking at website pricing, definitely call sales because there's a preferred discount that you can get off of the price we have on the website if you're coming from another application. With regards to ESI payroll, you can't currently import the payroll data into ESILaw, but we are looking at adding that feature in the near future. I think that's pretty much, does ESILaw deal with year ends produce T4s? We don't produce the T4s, so you would need a standard payroll application for that, like a third-party payroll application. But we do have year-end functionality in terms of your financial reports, your chart of accounts, your tax reports, closing the year-end in ESILaw. You can actually control under the global settings that the financial year is closed. You can even close the books as of a certain date to give you a little bit more control over your year end as well. Let's see if there's any other questions in here that I missed. It looks like that's pretty much it. So in summary, I want to thank everyone for attending. And again, if you got lots of questions, give us a holler and we'll definitely help you out with those. And I'm going to pass you on to Yash now, who's got apparently got a fantastic giveaway. No, it's not a new car or a trip to Europe, but it's something just as a thanks for attending. So he's got a draw that he's going to deal with there.
Thanks, Michael. Hey guys, so we're going to do a quick draw for an Amazon gift card, $50, and we'll do the live pick right now. And the lucky winner is Akin Reju. Congratulations, and we will reach out to you for more details regarding your gift card. So back to you, Michael.
So thanks everyone for attending. Again, send us your questions, contact us in sales. We're here to get those answered for you, make your lives easier, give you a solution that's going to save you time and make your firm more efficient. Thanks for attending and have a great day.